Hello, friends. Welcome back. It's another episode with you know
What?
who.
Yes. Do we?
Let's
Do I?
let's
But does anyone really know anybody, Chris?
if you're a first time listener,
Can
I'm Chris
anyone
Angel.
really be said to own land, Chris?
Joined by my co-host Aaron Hendon. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, what's up? I've
Deep in
been
a
using
thought.
that own land joke. I really since I was like 13 years old. I don't
Oh.
even remember where it came from, but it's just one of those. It comes to me from
Why is
time
it a
to time.
joke? I only hear it
I
as
don't
like
know. Like
commentary, political commentary. Does anyone
it's
really
political
own land?
commentary. It's a political commentary joke that I've been making since I'm like 13. Can anyone, anytime things get too hippie,
Ah, got it. Okay,
you
that's
throw
the
that in like, but can anyone really be said to own land?
it's context dependent as a joke, like situational.
Yeah, it's got things got to be getting vaguely hippie, airy-fairy, and
Yeah,
so
nice.
anyway, um,
Nice.
not what we were going to talk about today.
No, I have a hard time transitioning to that. I can usually bridge to something, but I'm not sure I can.
Yeah, no, there's no
Not
bridge
sure I can
there.
bridge to
There's no bridge there. This is gonna be a bumpy ride, folks. Um,
that. Yeah,
which is good because there's the transition. Because what we wanted to talk about was that line between making something happen and allowing something to
Mhm.
happen,
Right, right.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
here we are, like trying to
You're
wait for
right.
the
Oh,
occasion to.
well
Thank you,
done. Well
thank you. We're
done.
waiting for the
Oh God, that was you just
conversation to flow into it, but no,
God,
we have to make it happen.
man, you hung in that pocket though.
I did.
It
And
did
then,
if you
yeah,
made it, it did not look effortful. It looked very easeful.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's the
Yep.
demonstration of what it looks like to straddle that
Yeah.
line between making something because it will show up and you do have to put some
Yeah.
attention on it. Um,
Yeah.
so the, you know, million different examples that Chris and I are dealing with about this, where designing a course, uh, some certification program in being a mindful CEO. And there's a level at which that's how much attention and how much work and how much effort and when do you what does it mean to do that and how do you do that? So
Well, and
there's
I think
that.
how we started was like, here's an idea. I don't know what it is. I don't know what
Right.
this is. And that's weird because then do you just allow it? Do you allow it to sort of take its sweet time and 12 months from now, we're still like, I don't know what this is? Or is there some intentionality to put in or some, I don't know. It's so, okay. So that's good. That's helpful to this for me because you can allow it, but in allowing it, do you force or what's the difference between intentionality, being intentional with something versus forcing
Right. Well,
something?
that's the question at
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Like I have the other example that we can sort of talk through is I'm coaching a team of real estate agents and we're 4 weeks into the 9 week program and there hasn't been any change in their pipeline, but they're loving the meditations. And the question is, all right, well, how much effort or how much
Mm, hmm.
do we press in there?
Yeah.
And when does pressing in or putting attention on something become forceful? So
Mm.
the metaphor that popped to head.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh-huh. The metaphor that popped into my mind, as
Yes.
you earthlings would say,
Yeah.
um, you fluent English speakers, um, was tending to a garden, tending to a plant. You plant the
Mm.
seed and stuff, and you could just let stuff grow. Stuff just grows. That does happen, right? Things do just grow, and there's even volunteer seeds. So I have a garden, and we compost everything, and so every year we wind up with volunteer tomatoes and volunteer squash, like
Those
volunteer.
are what? Just the seeds that fell on the ground from the last season or what?
Yeah, stuff that comes through the compost or comes through
Ah,
someplace else, and they're
got it.
just plants. We didn't plant them. They,
Hmm. Got it.
intentionally, they're volunteers. Um, and my experience with those is those tend to be not as tasty. It's not as
Mm,
and I don't know what
hmm,
that is. If someone who's a gardener or does that kind of thing more often could chime in and let me know. But point is, volunteers happen.
yeah.
But then there's also intentional gardening, which is you plant seeds and you set up a watering system and you cover the ground and you provide
Mm,
nutrients and you
mm,
weed and you water on a regular basis and you tie up the tomatoes as they grow and to maximize yield, maximize utility, to tend the garden. I mean, just tending a garden is not a weird thing to do and it's not particularly forceful,
yeah,
right?
that's good. Yeah.
You're not forcing the plant to grow. You're not digging up the seed every 5 minutes to see if it's sprouted. And you're not, so there's a balance there between
Yeah.
tending to something and
Mm,
forcing it. Tending it,
mm, mm,
you know, tending to it is, what it takes to tend to something. It takes I don't know, an enormous amount, what some amount of faith that this wants to happen.
yeah.
And you're just getting things out of the way of what's naturally going to happen anyway and facilitating the outcome that's inevitable, but you're facilitating it to maximize its utility, productivity, yield.
Right.
You're not simply just letting it happen. So that's interesting. Um, that on one level, force in this context is uh, something where a place where I would go where I don't know it's going to happen. Oh, that's good. I tend to
Mm,
force
mm,
things if I don't have faith, if I'm not confident it's going to happen on its own.
yeah.
Like the thing I want to happen is just not going to happen by itself. So I'm more
Ah,
uh,
yeah, I
uh,
get that.
likely to try and force something.
Hmm, I
If
get
it's
that. Yeah.
inevitable, if who I am about it is that it's inevitable, then it
Hmm,
shows up like tending.
right. Interesting. Interesting. Huh.
So in the case of this team, my coaching this team, am I that it's inevitable that their results are going to increase? It's interesting because I was when we started, and now a month in, if nothing's
Interesting.
happened, given nothing's happened,
Mm,
I have a little less faith.
yeah, that's good. This is
And
very CEO land. Like, everybody's excited at the beginning of the journey, but you get to the middle when rations are low and you're like, I don't know, man. We should turn back. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Especially in CEO land, if what you're up to is something that there isn't an agreement for or an industry around, like if you're creating change, which is really close to my heart, like if you're going to go be the change you want to see in the world, there like that's kind of like new territory. That's new. So I've had many times when I felt like I'm trying to force it. That looks like I'm going to buy all the software and the equipment and the tools. I'm going to throw money at it. I'm going to hire all the coaches about it because I'm like, I have to have this. It's very hard for me to sit in. How do I just be easy about this? How do I tend it? How do I, you know, give it a little water? Because I don't have a lot of faith about it. I have a huge desire for it, but my faith that it's going to happen is kind of like I don't know.
yeah, it's an interesting little conundrum because in a lot of ways, what it is to be CEO and sort of both the ordinary context and I think even a created context, it's often, you know, making things happen that weren't going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
is
Sure, that's
going
interesting.
to, it wouldn't happen if you didn't. Well, it wouldn't happen if you didn't plant the seed. It wouldn't happen if the ground wasn't fertile. It wouldn't happen if there weren't the conditions for it to happen. Throwing seeds in the ground and having there be no water does not guarantees no plant practically,
Right.
right? So there's certain conditions that need to be tended to. It's interesting,
Yeah.
I think because this is good. This is just to go a little step deeper into the metaphor. Tending has to do more with the conditions
Yeah.
than it does the action. Tending is putting attention on the conditions for the event as distinct from the event. I'm not, I don't force the plant to grow,
Got it. Right.
but I do tend to the conditions that would maximize it. And again, I don't know enough about gardening to have this part be confident, accurate, but part of it is, can you force a tree to fruit? I think there's
Yeah.
ways of, trimming it or tending to it that what people would call force it to fruit. But it's not really forcing it to fruit. You're just increasing the likelihood of an event by
Right.
tending to the conditions, by um,
Right.
trimming this part or,
Yeah.
you know,
That's really
uh,
good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because if it's not a fruit bearing tree, you can't force a non fruit bearing tree to fruit. But you can't ask it to be something it's not, which I think is sort of what you're saying.
yeah, right. But
But
you
you
can,
can,
but
yeah,
you can
yeah.
tend to the condition.
You last week we were in the mastermind. We were talking about ease is not the reward. Ease is the path.
Right.
Ease is the path. And I really sat with that. We talked about it in the mastermind. I offered up my own circumstances as fodder for the conversation. And in the last week, I've really sat with that a lot. And I'm having my own insights and ahas about what that means to me, ease. Like, so mine was specifically around fitness. And, I've always been interested in six pack abs. Who doesn't want that? That's pretty awesome. That's pretty sexy. But I really wrestled with I don't know how to be easeful about that. I mean, so it looks more like wanting to force something. In the past, it looked like I'm going to go force myself to work out, and the experience of that is not one of ease.
Right.
That's one of stress, anxiety, pressure, frustration when I don't get the result. And so I think I'm connecting that conversation to this one, in that one of the things I'm noticing about ease for myself is it's a lot about tending the conditions. Like if I tend the conditions around it, my body knows what to do. There's just some things I need to choose, just like a gardener would choose to set up irrigation or not, or choose to use compost or clay. Like there are some choices I can make that make the journey of this, the path of this more ease. And that's kind of what I'm hearing in this conversation. Like it'll do what it does, but if you tend it, it's gonna have a path of ease. I don't know, do you hear something in that? Because that's what I've been chewing on the last week.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, I heard a couple things. So part is the the mastermind itself
Hmm. Hmm.
is a condition, creates a
Yeah, right,
condition,
right,
right? It doesn't work on any particular project. No one in there is like, it's not learn this skill.
right,
Not like, for the book, I keep getting ads on my feed for how to run Amazon ads and 6 modules and take
right,
these steps. That's not the mastermind.
right,
It's not a learned skill from that perspective. It creates a condition of thoughtfulness It
That's
creates
right.
a condition where we're thinking about things newly, in
Right.
which new things can sprout up, right? It's more tending to the garden,
Right.
making sure there's fertile soil for the CO to live,
That's good. Yeah.
CO where we are to live.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, I don't know. So ease as the path.
Yeah. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, I
Oh,
remember
okay.
that. I think that's
I thought you were
yeah.
like, who
No,
said
no,
that?
no.
I don't
I'm
remember
just
what you're
thinking
talking
about it
about.
in terms of okay, well, you know, muscles grow when they break, right?
Yeah.
That's how
Right.
you grow muscles, is you work
Break
your
them down.
muscles
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
failure.
Right.
So nothing particularly easeful about that.
No, right. No, no. Right. So the uh one of the insights today, this morning, in fact, off of that conversation last week and some other thoughts I've had this week were for me, because that's what I was sitting with last week, was like, I don't understand how to do fitness with ease. Like, am I
Every time you say
allow
fitness, all I can think about is fitness pizza in my mouth, but okay.
am I really like, am I just allowing my body without doing any work? Am I just allowing my body to get ripped? Like, I don't see how that's possible. So there has to be something there, but um, well, let's go. I'm going to take the cram for a little side tour here for a second. But one of the conversations I had yesterday was so helpful in seeing this was somebody said we have kind of three instincts that kind of run in the background of how we show up to things. One is, and think of these three instincts like animals. The instincts are self-preservation instinct, a
Mhm.
social instinct, our instinct around others, and then a sexual instinct. Not necessarily having, the physical act of sex, but that could be how you merge with a project, how you reach flow state, like and each of us, this is how it was explained to me, which really helped me. Each of us, those three animals, one of those instincts as an animal is the strongest, the wildest. It's in the room and it sort of does everything for you. It's like on hyperdrive. The middle instinct or animal is usually sort of a more healthy instinct. It shows up. It knows how to kind of interact with what it needs to do. And then there's the weakest animal or instinct, and it's kind of in the corner whimpering. And I thought that was really interesting because I could see for myself that I'm very strong in the sexual instinct as it relates to I immerse myself in projects. I live on vision, passion, expansion, ignition. This is sort of how I produce results in the world through that instinct. And my social instinct is very middle of the road. Like I can show up and be appropriate in a room. I don't have a lot of anxiety. I'm not, it's just very even keel. But my self-preservation instinct, which would affect how I treat my body, how I deal with finances, right, or um, livelihood that way, has been this whimpering animal for me, and I tend to ignore it and say like,
Mhm.
don't talk to me. I've got to go dream bigger dreams. Every time I get squeezed, I don't choose the present moment, which is where we were last Wednesday in our mastermind conversation. I don't choose the present moment and get present to it and then choose it. I retreat into vision, expansion, bigger projects. Because that's the animal that is the strongest and the loudest. And so I go, well, that's what I'm going to go. That's how I'm going to deal with this for me. And this is how when I would get into breakdowns in fitness, it would be like, I'm tired of this. This is stupid. I need something different, and I would ignite a new project, a new thing up. And so now in this reflection, what I'm starting to see is my path of ease is not don't lift weights, or don't be in a calorie deficit. My path of ease is choosing this threshold moment, this present moment. This, if I can choose this moment, I'm going to go into the weight room and I'm going to pick up weights. That one moment, if I can choose that, then I'll lift the weights. It's fine. I actually like it feels good for me to lift weights, but
Right.
there's a lot of arguing with myself, negotiating with myself. That makes this not easy or easeful. It's very fraught with internal conflict about don't tell me what to do and screw you and I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And so what I saw for myself was that ease is the path for me. Ease shows up when I can in this moment choose the threshold, choose the self-preservation, spend time with the instinct that has been ignored in the corner about self-preservation. Like um and in some ways look at that as balancing me out rather than neglecting vision. It's like, hey, I'm gonna shore up this thing I have, this who I am as a person by bringing in some of this
Well, there's a couple
nervous.
things in
Yeah.
that, right? First of all, there's a recognition of balance,
Yeah. Good.
right?
That's
Like
right.
that of the importance of balance, and then also a recognition of avoidance, avoiding uncomfortable things,
Yep.
whatever it is you're not doing, cold calls, whatever you're avoiding,
Yeah.
hard conversations, avoiding anything else. That gets often bucketed like it's easier to ignore it,
Right. Yes.
but it's really not. It doesn't create ease.
Right.
It creates distress.
Mm.
Ignoring the weak part creates distress
Yeah.
because if we go back to CAP, anyway, it's a three-legged stool. You can't have one leg that's longer.
Yeah.
It's going to create distress. It's going to create imbalance,
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
right? So you know, water is important, but you could overwater. You can certainly over fertilize. You know,
Hmm.
you can. I always think of salt, right? It's just as a baker, salt is really important for bread,
Yeah.
but and you got to put enough in that you don't taste it. The moment you taste salt, you got too much salt, but
Mm.
you need the right. So
Hmm.
while salt's important, it's really easy to overdo it. So balance
Yeah.
is
Mm.
is a critical aspect of ease, of
Mm.
cultivating ease. And I think we talk about doing the easy work, low hanging fruit, whatever,
Right.
uh, like it's, um, going to create ease. Or we also think no effort,
Right.
no effort and ease are somehow synonymous.
Right.
And but it's a pain in the ass to weed the garden. I don't know how else, I'm not like, I don't know anyone who's like, I can't wait to weed the fucking garden. Um,
Right.
but it creates a condition in which the growth is easeful.
Yeah.
And I think those things need to stay separate. Is the amount of energy it takes to create a condition of ease is, that's sort of part of this confusing
Yeah.
mix of, well, when am I forcing something?
Mm.
If I force myself to go to the garden to weed it, on one hand, yeah, sort of, sort of, I do. If I don't, you know, I'm just thinking there's like a couple. One project regarding my garden is setting up a watering system. Last year, I didn't get to it till like fucking May, which was absurd, and the garden was a disaster. Last year's garden was a disaster.
Yeah.
It wasn't weeded. It was overwatered. It was a disaster. Um, so energy doesn't equal force. If the energy is applied to the con to if the energy is applied to create a condition of growth, I would think that it would be useful to bucket that as ease. Even if it feels hard to do, you're doing it to create ease. I
Yeah,
think
there's
a lot of things we do a lot of things we do that are easy create stress.
yeah, there's ease. I hear ease two ways, and that one is ease. You'll do something hard, like go set up the water system, which creates conditions for the garden to have ease in growing. And then there's ease in your decision to go set up the water, like the irrigation. Like for me, this is where I could see for myself about fitness is that what we talked about it as segment intending from Abraham Hicks last week. Like there, there's there's a moment that's coming up next, a segment of your day, a segment of your life. It's coming up next, and you could intend something about that. You could make a choice about that. We tend not to. We kind of just do. We just kind of blow through our day and
Do what's in
things.
front of us, do what's easy.
Yeah, and that creates conditions that are not easy, that are stressful, that are whatever. But in this moment, this is where I got last week was the what I know that I know that I know that I don't do is just get present in this moment. This is all of meditation and mindfulness. Get to this moment right here. And in this moment, choosing to work out is not hard. It's
That's right.
all a negotiation I do with myself, the arguing. That's a pain in my ass. I don't want to do that right now. That's going to take this many hours. And that makes it hard. But
Right.
choosing in this moment is not hard.
Right. And choosing in this moment with an intention or, getting into this moment and then looking in the direction of
Yeah.
what, what future am I creating or what my purpose is inside CAP, right?
Yeah.
What's going to create a condition of future ease for that purpose being fulfilled?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
action would create that? So that's all. It's good. I mean, I think everything there is good, and but it's in a frame of, again, an outcome that we know is going to happen. If you're or more certain about how that mechanism works, working out is, well, you can't, it's experimental. It's not really like gardening. Gardening's not real. I mean, there's experiments you could do in gardening, but gardening's pretty straightforward in terms of seed, ground, soil, water, light. It'll
Yep.
work.
Yeah.
Um, Diet and exercise is more personal, your personal body type, what kind of exercise you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But overall,
Yeah.
calorie deficit,
Yep.
exercise,
Yep.
still a fairly reliable process.
Mhm.
And then there's this team I'm working on,
Mm.
like, okay, I haven't done this before.
Mm.
There's not a infinite amount of time
Mm.
behind me in having this happen. Like gardening has an infinite,
Right.
whatever, as old as, whenever we became agrarians, that we figured out how to grow food, not reinventing the wheel with that one.
Right.
And there may be experimenting to maximize, but the fundamental principles have been proven over time. This working with this team and is not, it's new. It's not been done before. So it takes a level of, I guess it's just taking a level of guesswork or, educated guesses, but, applying time-tested principles. Am I more effective when I'm calm or when I'm frantic? Okay.
Mm.
More
Sure.
effective when I'm calm, right? Even
Yeah.
in especially in situations that are high pressure, the
Yeah.
calmer person wins,
Yeah.
right? More times than not. That's a fairly, again, time that'll work. So mindfulness and meditation produce better performance. I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
2,500-year history of that.
Right.
particular thing. So,
Right.
yeah,
Like there is a decent amount of history, and
yeah,
you're taking that and applying it sort of in some new applications. There's some
right.
new ways you're applying it. It kind of reminds me when you talked about running, like if somebody was running in the 70s, you'd be like, who's chasing
Right.
you? And now there's enough of people doing it that and data around it that you're like, no, this is what happens. And you're just sort of running, jogging in the 70s right now with coaching people through mindful practices.
To increase performance,
Uh-huh.
sales performance, particularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's a good, again, in the present moment when I let the dust settle or let the mud settle in the glass,
Yeah.
I can see, we can look to see, is this the right thing? Because we are, but again, what I can't, this is sort of basic performance coaching. You can't work on outcomes. You can work on process.
Yeah.
You know, sports metaphors are perfect for, I mean, every coach will tell you, you can't make them make contact with the ball or strike that person out, but you can work on their process that would more likely
Mm.
produce that result. And that's really sort of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Forcing is attention on the scoreboard. Generally, if my attention's on the scoreboard, I'm much more likely to try and force an outcome
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
than if my attention's on the process
Yeah.
and I can work on the conditions
Yeah.
that are more likely to produce the result. It's all likelihood to produce the result, not
Yeah.
nothing's
Yeah.
guaranteed. So, are my actions consistent with my purpose? Right?
Right.
It creates ease. Anytime I take actions that are inconsistent with my purpose, always distress.
Mm. Mm.
Some inauthentic sales conversation, something where I'm trying to make something happen, right? Which mindfulness is great for allowing your purpose to arise. And whether you call it your purpose or true to yourself or an
Yeah.
authentic expression, whatever, however you want to language that. But
Mm.
my doing that would then allow for
Yeah.
better performance. Getting grounded in that would allow for better performance.
I can see
Good.
that as true in my reflections around fitness, where I would get so frustrated by not having the result that I'd either double down, whatever it is. But now what I'm seeing and in the reflection of the last week has been, this isn't about six pack. This isn't about the outcome. This is about choosing this moment. And that's such a different place to operate from. It's a different energy to that. When I say, oh, I'm going to choose, what do I want to choose in this moment? Uh, is about choosing conditions or choosing, it's not looking at outcomes.
Right.
I'm more focused on the path than I am on the destination. And in doing that, it has this week made those choices easier. There's an ease to those choices because I'm not holding those choices in this moment accountable for the result right now. I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting calorie deficit, exercise, weight training, strength training. I'm
Yeah, and there's
trust.
nothing wrong with the goal called six pack abs in and of
Yeah.
itself, right? And
Right.
every team goes out to win the Super Bowl, to win the World Series, and 31
Yeah.
teams are losers. And
Right.
but that's the way it is every year. 31
Right.
teams are dissatisfied. Um, include, and then you got to let go of at some point, and that's the question we have at what point? But at
Right.
some point, you got to let go of your attachment to the goal
Yeah.
and put your head down and work on process.
Right.
And then you look up every now and then and look to see if you got the goal or not. And if you didn't, then what else is needed? What else is important? What else would create a higher likelihood of result next time?
Yeah, and I can hear myself in this, but a lot of we'll say newbies picking up like, okay, yeah, I like this idea about mindfulness, leading to some cool breakthroughs in my sales or my business or whatever. Yeah, let's do. You coach us. captain and on mindfulness. And we do it for a while until we're like, hey, this isn't working. And then now attention shifts from process to outcome.
Right.
And it's easy if you're a white belt or a yellow belt, it's easy to start like, making the process wrong. But it's just like gardening, you do your first year of gardening and you're going to get some things right, but a lot of things is they're going to be clunky. And next year, if you're committed to process, next year you do some things different based on what you learned. But I think we tend to throw out the process when it doesn't give us the result, and then we go look for a new process. And this is a karmic cycle that is. So I'm just trying to add some breadth here of
Hmm.
time because if you only listen to this conversation, like, oh yeah, no, I'll give that a try, and then it didn't work in air quotes, you're killing off the process. Give it time, give it time, give it time. That's what I would say about that.
Yeah. So the question we had to start with, just to go back, was the difference between force and allowing, right?
Yeah, intention,
Intention. And
sprinkling intention versus
yeah, so
forcing
tending
something.
to conditions,
Yeah,
increasing likelihood of results, letting go of attachment to the number, to the goal, to the outcome, having it there to reference, but only to reference, not to
yeah,
strive for,
yeah,
again, letting go of striving, allowing, but are we, I mean, I got to force myself to meditate every day. I mean, it feels like that, like
mm,
at some point, I'll even get to the couch and still be scrolling on Instagram and then be, okay, fine, stop. But that little level of force, like it's got to, you know, it's also of, it's important to give up the notion that allowing versus forcing, that allowing means you don't do uncomfortable things.
sure.
I just think it's really easy to get, well, I'm allowing.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the getting grounded in the moment and looking to see what action is needed. And even in the moment that when you, like you said, Chris, get present
yeah,
in the present, that thing that looked like it was going to be, you've been avoiding as hard, doesn't show up as hard.
right,
Because in the moment, you're in the moment, there's nothing there. There's nothing easy or hard. There's just the moment.
right,
And if you get connected to the future you're creating or your purpose or the outcome, there's a next action that's appropriate.
yeah, right. It's not like force doesn't work. It's not like it does, plenty of people have results by forcing themselves to do things. But I think what we're sort of looking at here is that um, there are other maybe better results. There are other results. There is another way to do this that um, agency comes to mind, like you choosing the moment rather than forcing the moment, being in a space of like, I'm sovereignly choosing this rather than scrolling. I'm going to choose to not scroll and I'm going to
Mhm.
choose to meditate. And that is doesn't have to be an experience of force and frustration. That could be, you know, an experience that is sovereignly chosen as like, this is what I'm doing now. That's not how I've made choices in the past when things are uncomfortable. I tend to, what do you call it, back arch. I tend to get angsty about it. Like,
Right.
why are you
Right.
making me do this?
Yeah. And, and that's the whole world of, hustle culture, ice
Right.
bath,
Yeah, right. Right.
4 a.m.,
Yep.
make yourself do hard things. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have a particular problem with I don't think it's a problem to make yourself do hard things. I think it's ineffective in the long term to glorify doing hard things as the path
Mm.
to success when you then miss the journey. You then are,
Right.
dissatisfied
Yeah.
all the fucking time until until you
Yeah.
make
Right. Well, this is evidenced in burnout and mental health issues and,
yeah.
entrepreneur land. It's in business. Like,
Yeah, which is why I'm talking about ease is not a reward, it's the path.
yeah.
You don't, and that doesn't mean don't do hard things. This again, I think this is a decent prompt for tomorrow.
Yeah. It's always good when we find ourselves in a paradox, right? Because there's this, we're back and forth in this conversation. Like, yeah, so I'm not saying
Oh, I
don't do
was
hard
just
things.
reading Brene Brown, and she was talking about the beauty of paradoxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the definition of paradoxes as the place where language, as a paradoxes shine a light on the places language fails.
Mm.
Like it's
Mm.
only a paradox in language. In experience, it's not. In experience, if you dwell in whatever paradox it is long enough, it shows
Mm.
up in a way that language will not communicate.
Mm.
You're just left with the failure of language, which is great. Because plants don't grow in language, plants grow in reality.
Mm. Mm.
Things don't happen if it's not showing up outside of language, then
Well, yeah, that's a whole paradox in itself.
that's a whole paradox in itself. That's good. That's another prompt we could really explore there.
Right.
Because
Yeah. Because
yeah,
without
that's
language, you know, I think we've built our whole world on
well, we don't
communication,
think
being able to.
we have languages, love lives in language, language is the house of being. That's what we're talking about. All
Yeah.
right, let's reel that back in. That's
Yeah.
a prompt for another episode.
Yes, it is.
We're not
Yes, it
going down
is.
that road. All right, well, let's leave it there.
I think we said enough.
Yeah.
I think
I
you've
thi-
said enough.
Thank you.
I
That's
think you've said enough.
shut the fuck up of the
I think you
mindful
let me
CEO.
talk more today. That's good.
That was good. Well, I tried. Um, all right.
Good.
Well, the next cohort of How to Live a Grateful Life in a Fucked Up World starts on April 15th, tax day.
Woo!
If anyone's interested, I'll get the website up for that. The Grateful Breath will be up, I don't know, sometime this week. Uh,
Thegratefulbreath.com.
thegratefulbreath.com. You can get yourself set up to be in that course.
Perfect.
Um, starting on April 15th. I think it's the earliest I've ever figured out how to open it. So there you go.
Awesome.
Getting
Awesome.
better,
Awesome.
getting easier.
Good.
All
All right,
right.
friends. Yep. Those of you listening, leave us a review. If you're interested in the mastermind, let us know.
Yeah.
Go to the website, themindfulceo.com. Let us know if you're interested. We'd love to have you in that conversation. So
Yep.
until next time,
All right.
peace.
Bye. Love you.